Thank you, everybody, to join us. We tried to be online on Facebook Live, but unfortunately, Facebook did not work very well for us. But thanks for Terry's patience here and uh, to make this happen. So we are recording it on Zoom and then uploading it. Uh, my name is Pradeep Kandimala, founder and CEO of SAHAVE. Uh, so uh, I am a social entrepreneur working on a technology that will, a SaaS-based technology that will make people come together to save each other, to serve each other. So that is the main goal. And the meaning of SAHAVE means community coming together as we. So our goal is to uh, provide, I'm sorry, I should say our mission is to inspire a social change by motivating donors to help one another while benefiting themselves and their communities, to provide support to nonprofit organizations to increase their overall impact and effectiveness. So I would like to introduce our guest here, Terry. Terry Miller from SignaKey. Terry, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Terry Miller. I am the regional sales director for SignaKey LLC. SignaKey is a traceability technology already in use in many industries. It does touch some products that you might use in your regular everyday life. Uh, SignaKey is used to provide cradle to grave traceability of a product or of an OEM part, so that we might trace it all the way back to its origin and guarantee its authenticity, and to kind of find it in the authorized supply chain. So that is what we do. And thank you for that introduction.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much for joining here with me. And today's topic is, as you know, we gathered together to talk about how we can partner to supply safe blood for all. As World Health Organization for 2019, the slogan is "Safe Blood for All." So, which means to me, there's a problem with blood transfusions around the world. It's not just in one specific country, uh, but uh, as Sahavi has launched in India, and we are also working with blood banks in India, like Indian Red Cross Society and other Thalassemia Sickle Society blood banks across India. And we have learned quite a bit about blood issues that um, community is going through in India right now. And Safe Blood for All, when I see this one at the beginning of 2019 from WHO, World Health Organization, saying that slogan, and that strike me into this, oh my goodness, this is not just a problem in India, there's a problem in whole world, right? So, and blood is very essential for anyone who walks into a hospital for surgeries. It says blood is life, and a person who is getting surgery cannot supply their own blood when they are going through the surgery. They have to get it from somebody else who is matching them, right? So given that, I would state some of the problems that we have learned. Let's say, for example, there was uh, dating back to February 2018, what we have learned is there are about 20,500 blood transfusions in India received HIV virus. That's based on the data that the National AIDS Control Organization has collected. But how far it is true, they could be more than that. This is just an estimation of collection that they are able to, and due to use of unsafe medical devices, and there are many ways what happened. And then uh, we also learned in December, end of December, we also learned there's a pregnant woman who is going to cesarean to deliver a baby, received a blood transfusion which infected her with HIV. That made headline news across India, and what we have learned is like a blood transfusion that happened to her received an HIV virus because of blood that has been delivered by unknown some unknown person there, and they have not been tested properly or something. uh, these issues investigations does not come up with proper information out. So and also we learned another fact I would say is in June 2019, uh, we learned from it's a right to information. It's called in India. There's an act called Right to Information. With that, National AIDS Control Organization has uh, said somewhere around 1,342 people across India have contracted HIV infection due to blood transfusion in 2018 and 2019. That's announcement in June from National AIDS Control Organization, a government entity, uh, giving rise to serious safety and quality concerns over there. And and last fact, I mean, most recent fact I would state here is on October 5th. Uh, this is a blood bank uh, has been uh, uh, let me put it this way, like a state consumer dispute redressal commission, which takes product product consumer sale, right? The consumer can go and say, hey, I received a defective product, right? So a state consumer dispute redressal commission has ordered a blood bank to pay compensation of 25 lakh rupees to a kid and kin of a patient who died of septic shock post transfusion of contaminated blood. This is the most recent situation in a country where I came from, obviously, as you can see my color, right? But which takes very pride in the world, saying technology is in blood of Indians, right?
That's right.
So that's and where are we? I mean, I don't know where who is addressing this problem so far, but Sahavi has taken up this challenge to address this, and uh, yeah, that's how we came across each other, and we were looking for solution to supply a safe blood for all on our platform, and we came across you. So
Right. Yes, it was nice to meet you. And it was interesting too because I was tackling a similar problem right now that is pretty evident in the U.S. In the area or in the arena of cannabis. So we have legal cannabis. In the case of cannabis, and I won't talk too much about this because they're still different a little bit. But in the case of cannabis, you have an entire industry that has been fully supported by the black market for 100+ years. And now we've taken that industry and we've turned it into a legal industry. And now we're, shocked and awed that we have black market issues and traceability, supply chain issues around cannabis. Now, blood and to some degree pharmaceuticals, I'm sure human organs, all of these commodities have value. Anything with value is going to be usurped by unscrupulous black market operators. It's just a fact of life. Learning what I have about blood, specifically in India and some other countries where it's harder to come by. When you go to a hospital in India, you don't get to get you don't get a bag of blood that's just going to come out and they're going to plug it into you when you need a emergency surgery. It's not how it works. You have to have a donor to supply that. So we were talking, Pradeep and I were talking about potential solutions around getting safe tested blood from the donor through to the recipient with evidence, with a tamper evident seal on that product with lab tested results linked to that product, like right on the bag. So you'd be able to scan with your cell phone and see what those test results are. So let me tell you a little bit about SignaKey and
Terry, let me ask you that. I mean, you touched a point about black market and the
yeah,
commodity. Those are the two key things. And blood is a real commodity because it's much needed at the time of saving your life,
yeah,
right? And as you just touched on that, like, okay, blood is uh, there are there's a huge black market in India. uh, we talked about it for so many months, we know. And I even referred to you a movie called Lal Rang, which is came in 2015 or 2016, right, which highlights the issue of blood and black market in India, and blood mafia in a industry which is almost $1 billion, 1 billion US dollar industry just in India, with a population of 1.3 billion, and the growing need for blood is always happening, and demand is growing. But how do we have a safety measures to get the blood from the blood donor to the recipient is a big challenge that this industry is facing today.
right.
So, uh, uh, yeah, black market in India is, uh, especially in this industry. One investigative reporter has reported, like 2 years ago or 4 years ago or something. I don't remember the date here. He said about 46 US million dollars worth of black market is happening in India right now.
Oh,
But when I spoke to the industry leaders in across India for blood banks and all that, they say, "Hey, that is way low in a market like $1 billion
mhm,
U.S. market, Indian market. 46 million is too low because everybody, whoever is in need for the blood, when they get a requisition from a hospital to go and purchase a blood from a
mhm,
blood bank, as soon as they receive it, they walk out of the room, they will be referred to a person outside the hospital to where to find the blood, and
mhm,
easily and fast.
right. Yeah.
And they'll, because of what, it's a human nature, right? When you're going through tensions and pressure to save your own loving person over there on the bed, right?
Mhm,
And you run out and you say, "Hey, whatever it takes, man, give me the blood now."
right.
And that's, and when they get the blood, they don't even know on the point of blood packet that whether that blood is safe or is it good, or because you're in so tension or that mental pressure that you're going through to save your own uh, loving being there, right?
Mhm,
You just go and, "Oh yeah, I got it," and then you just have that blood transfusion done. Even doctor doesn't know, just looking at the packet, like, okay, is it safe, is it matching? I mean, the most recent fact that I just talked about on October 5th,
mhm.
doctors doesn't even know the blood packet that they received is right one for the patient.
The type, the
Blood,
type isn't even listed.
I, I don't know. I mean, this is something, news articles, investigative reports, they don't come up with all these things. What exactly happened? But
Right.
that person has died,
Sure.
right? I mean, if
Mhm,
that parent who has been awarded 25 lakhs rupees. I've seen the consistent 25 lakh rupees awarding. You know why? Even a pregnant lady, another fact I mentioned about, like a person who received HIV virus,
Yes.
she is also awarded 25 lakh rupees.
Ah, wow.
So this is a consistent consumer problem that's happening in India right now.
Yeah.
And nobody is working on this platform to solve this solution. So that's how SAHAVE is already integrated with blood banks. And we are working with running blood drives and getting the blood donors to the blood drives and all. So that is when we said, okay, our platform can have a solution for this. I know, other day we also discussed about Facebook. Facebook has launched blood donors identification last year in India and this year in US, and they're launching it across the globe. Would you like to say a few comments about that?
I would actually, yeah, that's it's insane. Had if Facebook were launching this tool, it's a blood donor tool, so that if there is an emergency and there's all of a sudden a lot of blood is needed that is of this type or what have you, they can put a sort of a shout out in a community page so that people who are donors could rush to donate blood to help save those lives. However, if you're using a platform or launching a tool like that in an environment where there's already black market activity and we don't have any tracking mechanism to make sure from the blood donor site to the hospital to the patient, we don't have any tracking ability, we don't have any test results, we don't have any idea if this is a good quality product, you're going to cause more harm than good. Having more black market untested blood available to patients means more people die. Yeah.
And this also opens up one more topic to discuss, is like about the privacy and security of the blood donors here.
Right.
That's something like every blood donation online system that exists in India, they disclose personal information about the blood donor, just like in Facebook also. They disclose the name, phone number, and their blood group. It's open in the platform for everybody. So how safe that is a big issue in a market like this.
That sounds pretty dangerous in the event that somebody really needs your blood type and knows how to find you, right?
Yeah.
You're an AB negative person walking around and they've got a real deficit for that particular type. The tools that we have available are well-meaning, but we really kind of have to have uh, some processes in place to make sure that what people are receiving is indeed the blood that they need at the that's been tested and that's come through the proper channels with legitimate medical staff and people who know what they're doing. So
Yes, that's perfectly said. Let's talk about some solutions, what we are going to deploy together as partners, SAHAVE and SignaKey, for this problem, what we just talked about, having security for blood donors and making sure the recipient who received the blood are able to see the blood is safe before the product. I mean, consumer court has ordered 25 lakhs rupees means it's a consumer product, right?
yeah,
It's a life-saving consumer product. So consumer should know whether that is safe to receive.
right.
That's most important thing. So let's talk about some of those solutions. How we can solve this problem together.
Right. And besides SAHAVE and SignaKey, we can't do it alone. We need lab partners, so legitimate testing labs for blood and blood products. We need data partners who would be able to aggregate the data and to send it out according to who's requested it and what their authorization is to receive it. SignaKey is a product or a symbology that is similar to a QR code, except that a QR code is a public domain technology. That means that if you'd like to produce QR codes, you can buy a license and you can produce them. SignaKey is private domain, so you may not buy a license and reproduce it. Each particular mark of SignaKey is unambiguously unique. There are no two alike. And I'll show you what it looks like here if you want to take a look at this little sticker here. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a series of Ys, just all sort of different orientations. But each one of these is unique. And that symbology links to a database that will reveal different layers of, or it will reveal layers of information according to your authorization. So the decode itself is scalable. That means that if you are a hospital worker or a blood bank worker who has a certain level of access, you would be able to see all of that data, or as much data as is relevant to that worker. If you were just the donor, you might see a little bit, you'd be able to see your own personal information, you'd be able to see your own test results, things of that nature, but not necessarily the numbers or the back end data. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Yes, I see. Majority of the issues what we have, what we learned in the market is Terry, like we have, I mean, on our on SAHAVE platform,
Yep.
A blood donor comes to the blood donation drive, it's blood, and what happens from that point to the recipient is a mystery right now. And the
I see.
right, and the recipient receives that blood,
right,
and it's big if you're lucky, if there's no issues. And what we have learned is another fact I can say is like thalassemia is a big issue in India. It's a capital city. Thalassemia, India has been declared as a capital city, and we are working on a prevention method for eradicating thalassemia. So we also learned the kids who receive, I mean, these kids have to receive regular blood transfusion.
Right. 2 to 5 weeks, right?
What is that?
Every 2 to 5 weeks?
Yes, after 2 to 3 weeks, they receive blood transfusion, and they're not only suffering with thalassemia because of unsafe blood that they're receiving, they're getting contracted with other diseases, hemophilia or some other thing, and then they have more issues growing. So my question to you is, there's a blood bank who does the collects the blood,
right,
goes through the process of testing lab, and then delivers the blood to the patient recipient, right? So can you explain how our SignaKey will work along with SAHAVE platform that makes sure that the blood collected and sealed at the donor side has been not been tampered or not been malfunctioned or anything, and then when the recipient sees it? So
exactly. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a tamper evident solution on that bag that where the marking occurs at that blood center. So that blood center would ideally receive a blank tamper evident seal. This is an example of a tamper evident seal, and this would go across the top of a bag that just opened from the top. A blood bag would have a different type of tamper evident seal, but that seal would be scanned when that donor patient sat down to donate blood. So we're going to take all of this information from the donor, and we're going to apply that to this individual SignaKey in a tamper evident seal that we will place on that bag. And from there, this begins the life cycle of that blood product. So as that blood product moves from the donor into the bag, and then from those test vials, which would carry another SignaKey on the test vials. So this main seal on the bag would be the parent code, and the vials would become sort of the children. Okay, so we're packaging it in a way that they're all contained under this main SignaKey, and that carries all that patient information. Now, after those vials are tested, those test results are linked onto the main SignaKey on the bag of blood. And when the test results are ready, that data file gets uploaded into the information that's, or the SignaKey that's on that individual bag of blood or blood product. And as it moves through the supply chain, so maybe it goes from the blood bank to the test lab, from the test lab, back to the blood bank, then the bag itself is sent through transport, it arrives at a hospital. At each step along the way, individuals who are authorized in the supply channel would be able to scan this SignaKey and scan it in and out of their possession or in and out of their inventory. So that way we have a complete data chain, and each time the SignaKey is scanned, it produces, or it reveals, the IP address of the decoder. So we have the user information, we have the date and the time, and the geospatial location. So we can figure out where that product is in the world. So if it got out of the supply channel, you're going to look at the last person to have scanned this item, right?
So that's
yeah.
excellent. I mean, that even adds more value to the blood banks to have our system, our platform, SAHAVE platform, with which allows them to measure supply chain demand, supply and demand in their inventory in real time.
That is the biggest problem that it really solves, honestly, is the data.
Right.
I can tell you that the first client of this technology bought the company, because you're able to learn so much about your processes that you are able to, see in real time, what's needed. If you have data around, particular natural disasters and blood needs, you can take that data and you can figure out exactly how much blood you need, and be ready for that. You can really take care of surpluses and of shortages by just knowing, in the past, what the needs have been.
Yeah, that's another key thing is like in India right now, it's estimated about 12,000 people are dying because of blood shortages. So, so our platform, SAHAVE platform with SignaKey solution, can actually solve multiple problems here. I would, and also I would like to highlight here is this solution is not just for India. What I'm learning in US also with the blood banks and all that. So they're also looking for something that they can track the product.
Yes.
Their product is blood bind, right, in real time. So our solution is actually helping US blood banks to also track the product in real time from donor to recipient, right? And and this also makes an engagement with the donors when on a SAHAVE platform, on a SAHAVE application. When a donor has donated a blood and they receive this notification, hey, your blood has been utilized to save 1 life or 2 lives or 3 lives today. Not de-identified information for them, right? So it makes them more engaging to donate more blood. We also have a shortages of blood in US, right?
That is exactly, and that is something that we are able to do as well, is that, currently I know that the Red Cross has an application to do some tracking. It allows you to, see that your blood has finished testing and it has arrived in a storage facility, right? that doesn't really make you feel real great about donating if it's going to be in storage, knowing that in the US, a lot of blood is wasted because it is a biological product. It only lasts so long. But we have the ability with the SignaKey technology to send a message. If both the donor and the recipient have the app, the recipient, or I'm sorry, the donor of a blood product might receive a message once that recipient received the donation, and let them know that they saved a life today, or that they, their blood was used with, this donor. I mean, it really creates a sense of community, and it really kind of gives you the type of feeling that you've done something good, and that and you can share that with your family and friends, and you can encourage more people to do it.
Exactly. So SAHAVE is a platform for social change, and with our collaboration together, that's end-to-end solution what we are providing for. It's actually a solution for the people to save lives. For blood banks and other hospitals, all business entities are secondary, playing a role of their responsibilities. So coming back to the safety of the blood, and you mentioned about tampered evidence, but can you just explain about how it works, a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, sure. So, and obviously this is a brand new application. We haven't yet worked with a blood bag. However, in the arena of cannabis, for integrated circuits, for some of the other applications that we do, this e-seal, this is SignaKey is an IEC
Can you
global
put it up?
standard technology, by
Ah,
the way. So we are recognized as a global standard. And this seal would go, it would cover the part of the bag that would be opened, okay? And then after this seal, this is a very sticky glue underneath this sticker here. And after the glue cures, it takes about 20 minutes or so. Once you reveal it, you take the sticker off. Ideally, of course, you would scan first to take ownership of the product. Once you scan and it's in your possession, you can remove the seal, and it has a void symbol underneath, so you know that the seal has been that it hasn't been tampered with. So just to give you an example, in the cannabis space, what we do is when we're collecting samples in the field, the technician would take the sample from the plant. They would scan the vial where they stood, so we get a geotag of where they are exactly on that field. The sample goes into the bag, or goes into the vial, and then we put all of the samples into a bag, and we stand at the address of the farm, so we can prove that these samples did in fact come from the farm. The seal goes around the bag, and then it is scanned there. And then once it arrives at the lab, the standard operating procedures are to investigate the seal, make sure it hasn't been tampered with. So you can look at that first. Then you scan it into your lab. You're going to scan it once you've accepted the product. If
so it's basically there must be a social engineering, also a responsibility of individual who is donating blood, making sure the person who is taking the blood collection
Yes.
has sealed it properly,
Yes.
and then it protects the blood until it reaches the donor on SAHAVE's platform. When
Exactly.
right?
It's a matter of education and training, and having those standard operating procedures, which
Yes.
we have in other industries. So it's just
Awesome.
a matter of getting those across.
Cool. So we are very close to uh, ending our session right now. Uh, uh, any final comments from you, Terry, for the audience?
I'm just happy to be here. I think that if you or someone cares about this issue about safe blood, in India, in this country, in other countries, we would love to, we can connect with you and see if there are issues that we haven't maybe thought about. If you're a blood bank looking to solve this problem, we're certainly interested in speaking to you. But yeah, I mean, it's a big project, and I'm really privileged to be able to work on it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terry, for joining. And as you said, my final comments will be, yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar uh, uh, industry across the world, and just in US, it's a $25 billion business for blood bank, I think.
I read 46 billion.
46 billion. Yeah, I'm sorry. So it's growing because of our baby boomers population and all that, and the shortages is also growing along with that. Every day, about 1,000 people are facing death in US today because of blood shortages, and surgeries that are regularly scheduled have been postponed. And these things are not something that you see in the news because it's not impacted as much as comes in the news. So yes, we would like to invite everybody to join us who are interested in this solving this mission, this problem across the world. So please go to our website, SAHAVE, SAHAVE.org/join us. We would like to learn, if you like to learn about us and what we are doing and be part of our uh, mission here, please submit your information, or you can also contact me directly. My name is first name is Pradeep, Pradeep at SAHAVE, SAHAVE, SAHAVE.org, and contact us on that one. I'll also post these comments in below once we uploaded the video. Please let us know what you feel like. We are looking for nonprofit organizations, blood banks, and we are also looking for businesses to come forward, and especially technology industry to come forward and support us. And anything else?
There's no substitute for blood.
Yes, that is true. There's no substitute for blood yet. I mean, I would say this way, Terry, for that one to conclude right now. Human has not become a god yet.
No.
Right? Yeah. That's for the conference call today. Thank you very much, Terry, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for joining us, and looking forward to meet everybody, whoever around the world is interested to work on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.